Good afternoon, Ms. Bridgewater.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Doing okay.
Understandable.
Your reset date is April the 17th.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And courtroom two, good afternoon. Let me go ahead and just address everyone that's there while we wait for everyone to get on, as we're a little bit before 2 o'clock. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. If you do not have a private attorney, we're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their service. We'll get started as soon as everyone gets on with us. And courtroom two, who do we have there first?
Position 7.
Okay, thank you. And who's representing Ms. Fleetwood this afternoon?
That would be me, Judge Morrow. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chitai. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you, Judge. You too.
Thank you. Who's presenting for the state? Okay, it's a little before 2. I'll let the state take
Excuse me, Your Honor. I have a waiver for Miss Fleetwood. Mr. Shatai, did you?
Yes, I waive for appearance.
Okay.
Okay, well, given that she's with us, we can move forward with her being here.
Is that position number 7? I think that's Ryan's case, but I don't see him on yet.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dunlap. Mr. Sirocco, are you with us?
Yes, Judge, I'm here. Who we
Okay,
on?
yeah, I'm doing well. Good afternoon, Mr. Sirocco. This is position number 7, Ms. Fleetwood.
Miss Fleetwood. All right.
Okay. Ms. Fleetwood, you have been charged in case 25 CR 001755F with 2 counts of battery. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. She has no convictions, 5 cycles. Last arrest was from 2022 for a simple battery family violence. That case had no disposition. UJR jail would be pretrial's recommendation.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Sirocco.
Thank you, Judge. So this incident took place November 15th, 2024 at 55 Milton Ave in Atlanta. Law enforcement responded to a dispute involving 2 people. Officer spoke with the victim on scene, Miss Jemiah Hodges. That's Gemia Hodges, who explained that while she was driving her vehicle, she almost got into a collision with a driver of another vehicle identified as the defendant. She then drove into the parking lot of that above mentioned address, and the defendant followed her there. At which point the defendant actually walked to the driver's side door of the victim's vehicle and started a verbal argument as Miss Hodges was apologizing several times. Tensions rose, and she started kicking the passenger car door. They both threw cups at each other, and then the defendant proceeded to punch Miss Hodges in the face, starting a physical fight. At the end, the defendant ultimately fled the location in her vehicle, and Miss Hodges sustained injuries to her face, including a swollen left eye, bruises and scratches all over her face and chest, and broken fingernails as well. She had to go to urgent care for treatment, and she was able to actually send us a photo of her injuries, and let me tell you, they are brutal. Does not look good. She was able, they were ultimately able to identify the defendant from her vehicle, and surveillance footage was also used and captured the incident. With respect to her history, Judge, it's a history of several batteries and simple batteries. There's battery 2019, pretrial diversion dismissed, battery family violence 2021, where she struck her live-in boyfriend or was alleged to roughly 30 times, leaving marks and bruises on his face. Like this case, that was also caught on video. I'm not sure why that was dismissed. And simple battery family violence in 2022 for attacks on that same victim. We, like I referenced, have spoken with the victim in this case. She doesn't know the defendant. She is afraid of her. Will return to her residence and attack her or something of the like. She wants no contact. She, from my understanding, won't be able to attend today. But we're requesting for this case $2,000 surety on each count. No further contact with Jamia Hodges, anger awareness, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. All that on account of what is apparent to me a disposition towards violence and a risk to Ms. Hodges and others. So that's the state's position. If she happened to make it online, we ask that the court would sound for Jamia Hodges when appropriate.
Court opportunity. Does not appear so. Mr. Chatai?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Fleetwood is 24 years old. She's a lifelong resident of Georgia. She therefore presents a minimal flight risk. She has strong ties to the community. She stopped school at the 9th grade. However, she is currently working towards a GED. And currently she works as a driver for Instacart, and she's been doing that for 1 year now. And my client also informed me that she is currently pregnant and she expects a child soon. For those reasons, I asked this court to consider the lowest surety amount possible, if not a signature bond.
Okay, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 for each charge. Makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 1 day anger awareness. No further contact with Ms. Hodges. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Fleetwood.
All right, position 14.
Good afternoon, Ms. Pollard. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001746G with simple battery family violence. Is there a history?
No, first arrest.
Your Honor, this case needs a breakout room. I apologize.
For what reason?
There may be some MH issues needed to discuss. She is a minor as well. And there should be someone from juvenile court. I'm not sure if she logged on yet, but
Representing Ms. Pollard?
Nick Geddes with the Public Defender's Office, Your Honor.
You agree, Mr. Gettings, that we need a breakout room?
I'm fine with the breakout room.
Okay, given that we need a breakout room, courtroom 2, can we hold this case for a later time?
Yes.
Okay, let's continue to move on. We'll take a breakout room near the end of the calendar.
Are we going to position 8?
And for counsel, if you need a breakout room for any additional cases or in the future, please let me know that beforehand so that both I and the courtroom 2 can make the appropriate so that we can know when we need to take the clients, okay?
my
Thank
apologies, Your Honor.
No worries, Ms. Dunlap. That's nothing to apologize for. I just want to see if we can make this move as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Tell me again, courtroom 2, who do we have?
Position 8.
Okay, Ms. Garrett, good afternoon. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001756G with theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 3 cycles. Last arrest was from 2014 out of Las Vegas for burglary and theft. There was no disposition listed. UJR jail is pretrial recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Sirocco?
Thank you, Judge. This incident took place between July 26th of 2023 and the 27th that same year at 1505 Camelot Drive in College Park. The victim, Miss Chandra Sessions, filed a theft report on September 25th, 2023, explaining that her vehicle had been taken sometime late July, beginning of August. The delay in reporting was due to the lack of vehicle details, but ultimately the investigation revealed that the defendant had taken the 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee belonging to her by contacting a tow company driver by the name of Brandon Prysock, Prysock, and falsely claiming to be the owner of the vehicle. She sold the vehicle to Prysock for somewhere between $100 and $150. And he later brought that vehicle to a recycling mill where it was sold for weight scrap metal. A picture of the defendant was provided, and ultimately a positive identification was made from a photo lineup. With respect to the history, there's an FTA from 2020 arrest I see. There was that burglary, 2014 Nevada, and there's an older case, 2004, involving forgery in the first, printing or negotiating, drafting checks known to be fictitious. She was sentenced in some capacity, but it's not explained. So there is a history of some fraud here, but the state is recommending a signature bond through pretrial services, no further contact with Chandra Session, stay away from 1505 Camelot Drive, College Park, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. Thank you.
Ty?
No objection to the state's recommendations, Judge, and we ask the court to follow those recommendations.
I'm gonna come up there.
Okay, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Session, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Garrett. Who do we have next?
Position 10, 1-0.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Jefferson. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001744G with simple battery, family violence, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
No, first arrest, UJR jealous pre-charge recommendation.
Thank you. Ms. Dunlap?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident date happened on April 1st, 2025 at 2424 Stone Road in East Point. Officers were dispatched to the address in response to a fight. They met with an Alexis Watson, who advised minor EC ran into her home, stated the defendant and a victim, Michelle Finney, who are sisters, were fighting. Ms. Watson told the police when they went to the location, she saw the defendant push Ms. Finney to the floor. She broke up the fight and called 911 and advised defendant also tried to fight her disabled aunt. Defendant said Ms. Finney tried to hit her with a frying pan after she pushed her, and regarding a disagreement regarding potatoes. The state is looking for a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. No further violent contact with Michelle Finney, no further violent contact with minor E. C. I'm unsure about the stay away because we haven't been able to contact the victim or her mother in this incident, so I'm not sure if they want her to return to the residence. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Okay, Ms. Finney is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Richard Ty?
Yes, this is
Oh.
Iwana's mom. She can come back. That was just a dispute, but it's
Okay.
all right for her to
Well-
come. We have talked about it.
Okay, ma'am, can you come on camera for me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just come on camera for me.
Let me see. Let me get it. Let me get my camera back right now. It won't even act right.
And
It's not,
are you Miss Finney?
no, this a mom, Miss
This
Shaw.
is Miss Finney's mother?
No, yeah, this Miss Finney and Dewana's mama.
Their
Oh,
sister.
they're sisters. Okay. And
Yeah.
this is your home, Miss Finney?
Yes,
And it's all right if Dewana comes back to your house, is what you're telling me?
yes,
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you being here.
okay.
Yes, Mr. Chatai, any objections to any of the state's requests?
No objections, Judge.
Okay, for each count, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with the alleged victims, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Jefferson.
Hey, Judge Morrow, can we get Fleetwood bond order signed and be sent over to the jail records?
Okay, so I'm happy to do that. Ms. Bridgewater, if you will send that to me, I will try to do it during the court session here and send it back to you so that you can get it to whomever we need to get it to. And that's for Ms. Fleetwood,
Savannah,
position 7. Okay, is that right, courtroom 2?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll let you know when I get it signed.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, position 16, 1-6.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Rowe, you've been charged in case 25 CR 001747H with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
4 cycles. The last arrest was from February of 2013 for a probation violation. The underlying charge for that was a non-fingerprintable charge. Level 1 is pretrial's recommendation. Nothing further.
Dunlap?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident date happened on March 30th, 2025 at 515 Scott Circle in Palmetto. Officers responded to a dispute regarding the defendant and a Mr. Derek Patterson, who was the co-defendant we saw on the 31st. He stated that she took his keys and refused to give them back. He stated that she was upset because he wouldn't give her $100. He had left his keys on a motorcycle. She entered a garage and took his keys, at which point an altercation ensued. He stated that the defendant got physical with him and punched him several times, causing his glasses to fall off his face, I'm sorry. He grabbed her cell phone and had an effort to have her return the keys. Defendant stated that he accused her of taking the keys, which she did not, and he tackled her and threw her to the ground. Given the previous recommendation, the state is looking for a signature bond through pretrial. We're going to issue a stay away from 515 Scott Circle. I believe that's Mr. Patterson's address. No further contact with Mr. Derek Patterson, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Ms. Dunlap, do you remember whether or not I ordered a stay away from Ms. Rowe for Mr. Patterson?
I believe it wasn't a stay away because it was his address, but I'm going to just.
I mean,
check.
no further contact, I'm sorry.
No contact. I believe it was no further contact.
Okay, and if I remember right, Ms. Rowe was on the phone at that time,
Yeah, she had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember, thank you. And she was to turn herself in, which apparently she has done. And was she represented by a public defender? Was Mr. Patterson represented by a public defender?
I believe so. Yes, he was.
Okay,
Don't remember who it was.
okay, I understand, thank you. Mr. Gettings?
Yes, Your Honor. So my client is 43 years old. She has lived in Georgia since 1996. She has numerous family members here, including her mom, several brothers, cousins, aunts. My apologies, hold on for a moment. She was able to go to college and complete, she was not able to finish college, but she was able to attend and finish high school. My understanding is that until recently, she was working for Southwest Airlines, but they went through a series of layoffs. She did express to me that her understanding was that Mr. Patterson had actually received a stay away from the address. And she has expressed to me that she would have difficulties finding somewhere else to stay if she were required to stay away from that address. So I would just ask for confirmation as to the status of the stay away.
Okay, that was on the 31st. Is that right, Ms. Dunlap? I can check my notes if need be. And Ms. Rowe, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. So I see that you have your hand up there, but let Mr. Getty speak on your behalf unless it's something that has to do with the particulars of bond. I'm going to give you a signature bond, ma'am, so that you can sign yourself out and you'll be able to come back at a later date to defend yourself. If need be, Ms. Dunlap, I can go and grab my notes and check them if you want me to. You're on mute, Ms. Dunlap. You're
I was just checking. Odyssey was moving a little bit slow. 1 second.
okay. Give me a second. Let me check my notes. I think he was on an add-on calendar on that date.
I
And I
believe
can't-
he was issued this day, if I'm not mistaken, because she was home with the children.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Geddes?
Just obviously that she took the initiative to turn herself in, Your Honor, and we would be fine with
course.
the EAR, obviously.
All right, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Patterson. I'm not going to make her stay away from that address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Rowe. Thank you for making good on what you said you were going to do.
All right, position 15, Judge.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Moore. You have been charged in case 25 CR 0017.
Ponder.
Yes.
Judge Ponder, 15.
15. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Ponder. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001748B with criminal trespass and 2 counts of theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, a total of 21 cycles. Last arrest was March 25th of this year for theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass. That is an open case, 25 CR 001571B. Appears to be on probation out of Cobb County for theft by receiving stolen property. The disposition was October of 2024, 4 years probation. 2022 conviction for possession and use of drug-related objects. 2023 and 2020 theft by shoplifting convictions. 2019 criminal trespass conviction. And 2 disorderly conduct convictions in 2018. Level 3 will be pretrial's recommendation and nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Dunlap?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident date happened on April 2nd, 2025. Oh, I'm sorry, I actually have to make something clear here. So this is 2 separate incidents that the police combined into one because they happened, I'm guessing, within an hour within each other on the same street. So the first incident happened at 1990 Donald Lee Holloway Parkway, which is a BP gas station. And the second incident happened at 1960 Donald Lee Holloway Parkway at Best for Less Food Market.
That's why they in the screen doing that.
Mr. Ponder, I would advise you not to speak right now.
For what? You say because y'all keep on doing me like these dog and I ain't doing that dog.
Ms. Dunlap.
So officers were dispatched to the gas station in response to a shoplifting call. They spoke with the clerk store owner who stated the defendant is a known shoplifter in his store. He stole a can of a case of beer from the store. They showed officers footage of defendant taking the beer, placing it in his pants. He's a repeat shoplifter in the store, has previous cases, been previously criminal trespass from the property. The second incident, while officers were investigating the first one, happened at the nearby location, Best for Less food store. He went into the store with another unidentified male. They took 2 bags of ice, 2 things of Coca-Cola, and some Sprite from this location. Officers recognized the clothing the defendant was wearing from the earlier shoplifting incident in the video footage. Officers were able to find the defendant in a parking lot at 1992 Donald Lee Holloway Parkway, made contact and arrested him. I believe this defendant was seen on the 26th of March, where I believe it was Judge Law who presided in that case, and I believe he received a signature bond. Yep, looks like $2,000 signature bond.
Through the jail, and
Through the
that's
jail.
25 CR 001571B.
Thank you, Miss Allen.
Of course.
And so the state is looking for a $3,000 surety bond on this case, an anti-theft course, a stay away from the 1990 Donald Lee Holloway Parkway, a stay away from the 1960 Donald Lee Holloway Parkway, that is the BP gas station, and the Best for Less food market, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Thank you. Mr. Geddes?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ponder is 29 years old. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. He's expressed to me that he has numerous family connections in Georgia, including brothers and uncles, aunts, uncles, things along those lines. He was not able to finish high school, but he has expressed to me that he is currently working on obtaining his GED. My understanding is he works for a restaurant, a barbecue restaurant in Georgia. He's been working there for the better part of 5 years at this point. I discussed with him already the possibility of staying away from the addresses that were listed in this location. He did express a willingness to do that. However, my understanding is that one of them is fairly close to the address that he resides at. I expressed to him that obviously that just means he's going to have to be extra careful in avoiding the address, but he's aware that he will need to stay away going forward. Your Honor, I would just ask that you be willing to consider a UJR in these circumstances. These are not violent offenses. No one's being harmed by these actions.
Okay. For each charge, it will be $1,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond. I want him to have a social worker visit to assess for a BHET, given what I'm observing this afternoon. He's to stay away from that BP gas station and also the Best for Less. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Ponder.
Your Honor, just to be clear, the incident location from March the 26th was 1990. It was the BP gas station. And so today you're hearing about 1992 Donald Lee Hollowell and 1960 Donald Lee Hollowell. I believe Mr. Ponder also argued that these places are very close to his house, and so there must be a reason why he has an inability to stay away.
Miss Allen, it was actually the 1990 again. He was found at 1992, but it's the same incident location from the 25th.
This is an ongoing issue here. Thank you.
Okay, good luck to you, Mr. Ponder. We'll see you back on April 17th for the SAP calendar if he doesn't get out. Courtroom 2, I have signed Ms. Fleetwood's order, so that should be getting to you very soon.
I appreciate it. All right, next
Okay.
case. Next case, position 19.
Position 19, Mr. Keith Williams. Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001762J.
Stop talking because it's picking up what you're saying in the courtroom. Thank you.
With 2 counts of criminal trespass and damage to property and battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, a total of 22 cycles, 12 out of Florida, 10 out of Georgia. Last arrest was from December of 24 out of Bibb County for a probation violation. Has a 2015 conviction for aggravated stalking, terroristic threats, and battery. A 2010 conviction out of Florida for possession of cocaine and possession of marijuana. A 2009 conviction out of Florida for damage to property. A 2009 trespassing conviction out of Florida, and 1 FTA from 2021. Level 2 is pretrial's recommendation.
Good afternoon, Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is a case from the 2nd. So yesterday, April the 2nd, police were called to 1125 Dolphin Drive Southwest. They responded to a report of a physical altercation, and on scene, initially, they did not see anyone, but returned shortly thereafter. They met with the victim in this case, Mrs. Robinson. There is some confusion as far as Mrs. Robinson's gender. She is listed as she as well as a male in the document. So I don't mean to be offensive in any way by misgendering someone. The victim in this case reported that she and the defendant argued when he was on his way home. When he got home to the location where they've lived together for the last 3 years, the defendant kicked the door in, damaging it. And then after she called 911, initially the defendant took her phone and broke it. Then while outside, the defendant assaulted her, striking her in the face. She was seen to have a laceration on her face and her cheek, both under the eye and her cheek area. She responded by fighting back, and ultimately they separated and walked away. The defendant was there on the scene and spoke to police and claimed that he'd been assaulted first. Fortunately for the police, there was a witness who reported watching and seeing the defendant strike the victim in her face first and have her respond by fighting back. The victim told police there's an ongoing substance abuse issue and violence. You did just hear about violence and multiple convictions from multiple states, Your Honor. We're asking for a $3,000 surety to stay away from that location and have no contact with Christopher Robinson. And if you would sound for victim Robinson, we did try to make contact today, but we're not successful. Thank you.
Christopher Robinson is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity.
Yes, sir.
No. Mr. Williams, let me see. You have a right to remain silent, sir. Anything you say can be used against you. Mr. Gettings is your representative, so let him speak for you. And if you need to speak to him, I will.
Excuse me, sir.
Hold on. You want to advise him, Mr. Gettings?
He actually refused to speak with me previously, Your Honor, and said that he wished to move forward pro se.
Okay, I need to know that in the future so that I know how to properly proceed. Mr. Williams, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're offering you the assistance of Mr. Gettings this afternoon if you choose to utilize his services. Do you wish to proceed pro se this afternoon, sir?
I'll be handling my own case.
Okay, that's fine. So I take it that there's something that you want to tell me, but know that people often want to tell me something. You have a solicitor's office here that is the ones that are prosecuting you, so anything you say can be used against you, okay?
Yes, I understand that, sir. I stay, that's my home where I stay at. She stays with me. You know what I'm saying? And yes, we go through a lot of stuff. At the end of the day, we still gonna be together. You know what I'm saying? She's at my house now. You feel me? That's my place. I run there. I pay the bills there, all that. You know what I'm saying? So I say this, man. I just want to move forward with these charges, get these charges out the way so I can go to my probation violation.
Okay.
Your Honor, the defendant literally just told you that he has no intention of following any court orders with respect to contact with this victim.
I'm not saying that, man. What I'm saying is I stay there. My name is on the lease. That's my place.
Yes. So, Mr. Williams, have a seat. Okay. So, although your name is on the lease, or if the alleged victim is staying there also, and I order a stay away.
I stay away.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to be clear because I don't want you to be back here in trouble because we catch you back there when I tell you not to do something. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So. Okay, so I appreciate what you told me though, sir. For each charge, well, for each of the criminal trespass charges will be a $500 good bond. For the battery charge, it will be a family violence charge. It'll be a $1,000 good bond. Makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. At this point in time, no further contact with the alleged victim and stay away from the incident location. You can go back to that location on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. If you do not make bond, Mr. Williams, you'll be seen again on April 17th at the state all-purpose calendar, where we'll take another look at it, okay? Good luck with you, Mr. Williams.
Can I say something?
I've already made my bond pronouncement, Mr. Williams. Again, I advise you not to further incriminate yourself. So you'll be able to say whatever you want as time goes on.
Man,
Okay,
I'm trying to get my probation violation, man. What y'all got going on, man?
okay, so we're not gonna be,
I'm trying to handle my case today, man.
well, it's not gonna be handled today because this is a bond. This is for the bond of your present charges. All right, who do we have next?
Position 18, 1-8.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. White.
Good morning, good evening. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, Mr. White. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001749Y with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 7 cycles. Last arrest was from October of 2024 for criminal trespass. That is an open case 24 CR 007259Y. And 2 DUI convictions, both in 2016. Level 2 is pretrial's recommendation and nothing further.
Okay. Yes, Ms.
Honor,
Allen.
Thank you. This is an incident from yesterday, the 2nd of February, or excuse me, not February, April. The location is the Quick Trip at 4745 Jonesboro Road in Union City. It's the same location as his open case, that 24 CR case pretrial just mentioned. He currently has a $2,000 SOB through the jail that was issued October the 25th of 2024, requiring him to stay away. Police were called to that location. The clerk there reported that the defendant was outside loitering and on the property. The police documents note that he'd been previously trespassed and asked to leave and not return, and that's evident by the bond in his case as well. And so he was taken into custody. The convictions for this gentleman are all substance abuse related. We'd ask for $1,000 surety to stay away from the location and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Whose bond order was that, Ms. Allen? You know?
Let me look.
While you do that, Mr. Geddes.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So my client is 35 years old. He was born and raised in Georgia. He's a lifelong resident here. He has expressed to me that he does have parents and other family members and other connections residing in Georgia. He has expressed to me that he is not currently working. He had difficulties explaining to me his progress with schooling and education. My expectation is that he would benefit from a social worker visit if he is unable to bond out. That being said, Your Honor, based off of the circumstances, his financial situation, the possibility of some MH issues, I would ask the court to consider granting him a UJR bond.
Okay. Ms. Allen, were you able to locate that for me?
Yes, Your Honor, that's a bond order signed by Judge Law. It specifically says 7 cycles, bond revoked if arrested again.
So, Mr. White, I can't give you another signature bond. You were given a signature bond and told to stay away from this location previous. It's going to be a $500 good bond. Stay away from the Quick Trip, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and a social worker visit to assess for BHET. All right, good luck to you, Mr. White. If you can't bond out, you'll be seen again on April 17th, sir.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Joe, we're going straight down the calendar.
All right, very good. And this is Mr. Alonso. Yes, good afternoon. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001763J
Oh, no, I can't hold it.
with simple assault, family violence, terroristic threats and acts, and battery family violence. Is there a history?
Judge, which position was this? I'm sorry.
Position 1.
There's no history. Level 1 is pretrial's recommendation.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This young man is 18 years old. This is a case out of Roswell. The recommendation, I just want to say straightforward at the beginning here, is for a surety bond. And I also would like to say that I believe there needs to be a Spanish-speaking translator if anyone is going to be speaking on behalf of this young man.
I spoke with him before court and he speaks English.
I'm talking about his family since
I
he's
see.
18. So police were called at about 6:40 p.m. to 815 F, Roswell Creek Lane in Roswell, yesterday, April the 2nd. They were called to the location by a social worker from an elementary school. This defendant's 13-year-old sister, her initials EA, was at home with him alone, and it's reported that he was playing video games, and their father was trying to contact him, and the defendant was ignoring those calls. Eventually, the father started calling the 13-year-old sister, who answered the phone, told her brother, "Why aren't you answering the phone?" He and she argued. They then separated for a period of time, but argued again when this defendant ordered food and had it dropped off at the front door, and he wanted the young woman to go get it for him. Maybe he's too busy playing video games. I'm not sure why. She said no. And they again argued. The defendant admitted he confronted the child, yelling at her, calling her useless. She reported that this frightened her. She was fearful that she was going to be assaulted. She reported that this is not the first time. Again, I'll remind the court that these two were alone by themselves at home. The defendant admitted that he told the young woman, again, her initials are EA, she's 13, that he wanted to assault her. And the notes that we have, and I've requested more information, Your Honor, and even requested a call from the officer to get clarification. The documents that the state has state that the young woman, 13-year-old victim EA, had injuries to her hand as a result of being hurt with scissors. There's no indication that she was asked how she was injured, but the defendant is noted as saying that she injured herself. We did reach out to the mother for both the defendant and the victim. She spoke with our office, Mrs. Clemens specifically, who's here on the Zoom in case there are any questions, but spoke with the assistants through a translator and was not very forthcoming, did not want to speak about the incident, and reported that the 13-year-old was unavailable because she was at school. Hopefully, without saying anything further, the court can understand why this is a red flag. These children are home alone. This child reported this was not the first time that there's been violence. There were admissions made by this defendant, and clearly there was an injury here, and a police report, and maybe some contact with another adult that is not related to both of the individuals is something that is warranted. So we're asking for a $9,000 surety, Your Honor, today, simply because it's the state's position that the issue of bond should be reserved for another day. We would ask for the case to be reset, for that to be reconsidered while we continue to try to get some more information. We've reached out to our counterparts in DFACS as well as juvenile court. This young man has no juvenile court arrest history. We have also reached out to the Roswell Police Department to get some more information, and I was hoping that his mother was going to be on the Zoom to provide some information, even if it was through the assistance of an interpreter, but there's some concerns here. I would note that although I'm not fluent in Spanish, the defendant did call his mother from the jail, and while they speak in Spanish, you can it's very clear that he is telling his mother he apologizes for what happened. And so again, there's a concern for the 13-year-old who's being left alone with this young man and who was injured as a result of this behavior yesterday. And Ms. Clemens is here if you'd like to ask her any questions, Your Honor. And if you could sound for mom, her name is Adele Garcia.
And also, Judge, hi, Judge. I'm Miss Clemens. I also sent the Zoom link to the defendant's mom and I guess the individual who was translating for me to the mom. She was going to translate until she went to work. So they do have the Zoom link.
Okay, let's see. Is Ms. Gross? What's Ms. Allen, if I do decide to push this off a day, is there going to be a Riverside issue?
No, he has been
Okay.
appraised of his charges, and we have asked for a bond. So that's
Okay.
handled.
So, Mr. Gettings, I'm gonna do one or two things. I'm either going to just reset the case for tomorrow so that we can have a Spanish interpreter and try to get the mother on the line. If that's not what you're agreeable to, then I'm certainly going to have an adult co-signer for this young man. So, and I don't know if there's someone that's going to be able to co-sign for him besides his mother, so she's going to have to be here regardless. So can we postpone this matter until tomorrow and place it on tomorrow's calendar?
My expectation is postponing it to tomorrow probably makes the most sense. Can I have until the end of the calendar just to make sure, Your Honor?
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me.
And
So,
Mr. Geddes and Your Honor, I'm absolutely available, as is Ms. Clemens, to facilitate any communication or any consent situation with some more information, if that makes sense. The state's not interested in holding an 18-year-old in jail. There just needs to be some more information so we're in a better position to assure the safety of the young child.
okay, so we'll come back to Mr. Alonso by the end of the calendar, courtroom 2.
Judge, all right, go back.
Okay,
All right, this is position 3. So position 2 also needed Spanish interpretation as well.
okay. Are we gonna have a Spanish interpreter? Has one been requested?
Yes, I requested one for today, Judge.
Miss Grace, are you with me? Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I'll check on that for you, Judge.
Okay, so
Thank you.
all right, thank you. All right, so this is position 3, Mr. Bacchus, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Bacchus. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001751B with theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Position 3, yes, there are 3 cycles. Last arrest was from March 26th of this year for possession of marijuana. Does appear to have 2 open cases. Both is for theft by taking. 24 CR 006539B. And the second one is for 2 counts of theft by taking. 24 CR 006416B. Level 2 is pretrial recommendation. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Rocco?
Thank you, Judge. This incident took place September 16th, 2024 at 950 Atlantic Drive, Atlanta, which is one of the engineering buildings on Tech's campus, Georgia Tech. Law enforcement responded to a theft by taking call there, and upon arrival spoke with the victim, Miss Shutha Sridhar, that's spelled SHEW, and then SRIDHAR. She's a student at Georgia Tech, and she explained that her electric scooter was stolen. She had secured it to one of the bike racks there at around 11:30 a.m. And when she came back later that evening, her security chain was disconnected and her scooter was missing. Video surveillance footage shows the defendant approaching the bike racks on the near the building, removing the scooter, handing it to another. Ultimately, he was identified as one of the suspects in this. The defendant, he was wearing the same outfit and hairstyle as 2 other cases, and I want to elaborate a little bit on those. It's a slew of scooter thefts from Tech's campus, electric scooters, and there are actually 3 open cases rather than just 2. There's the one that was mentioned, another one, and then there is, again, another one, I believe it's 24 CR 006539B, if that was not mentioned beforehand, or 40B, but he's taking these scooters from these bike racks, removing them. I see an open case as well, 25 PI 002562 for robbery and simple battery. Given the multitude of these cases and the risk of reoffense here, Judge, the state is requesting a $1,000 surety bond. No further contact with Shutha Sridhar. Stay away from all Georgia Tech premises and property, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Now, Mr. Sirocco, can you find those other two bond orders for me and let me know how much those are for and who requested them? Or
Judge,
issued them? Yes.
Judge, he received a $5,000 bond in felony court.
Okay, for that robbery?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm interested, I'm also interested in the two the two theft by takings that are open, Mr. Sirocco.
Yes, Judge. These were all, I will mention, one of those was from the same day. The other two were from the same day, roughly a week prior. And I'm gonna go get those amounts for you right now.
Okay. While he does that, yes, Mr. Chitai.
Yes, Judge. We ask the court to consider a signature bond or the lowest surety amount that's reasonable to secure my client's return. Mr. Bacchus is 19 years old. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. He lives in Stone Mountain, and I believe his family is there as well. He got through school as far as the 10th grade, and currently he does not have a job, but most recently he worked as a cook.
Whenever you find them, Mr. Sirocco.
Yes, Judge, I can tell you that the first one I'm looking at here, the one with 2 counts of theft by taking, the other 2 have 1. It's 2,000 good bond total, 1,000 on each count. And I'll have the other for you shortly.
And who signed that?
That would be Judge Mincy, Judge.
Okay.
The second case is also an $1,000 good bond. It looks like this might be Judge Law's signature.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sirocco. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So I guess it will be $1,000 good bond per request of the state. Stay away from Georgia Tech's campus, no further contact with the alleged victim, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Bryant. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001761A with simple battery family violence and battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
No, first arrest.
Mr. Sirocco?
Thank you, Judge. This incident took place yesterday, April 2nd, at 3232 Spanish Trail, apartment 16 in East Point. Law enforcement responded to a physical domestic there and made contact with the victim, Miss Ashley Williams, who explained that the defendant who resides with her and is the father of her child that assaulted her, they had gotten to a verbal argument over her inviting some family members to stay at their residence. And during that argument, the defendant approached the victim while loudly ordering her to leave the residence. She felt threatened, put her hands up defensively, but he pushed her hands away, grabbed her by the front of her shirt, pushed her up against a living room wall, causing the back of her head and her back to strike the wall, before proceeding to push her to the floor while continuously ordering her to leave the residence. The defendant actually admitted to walking up in her face, grabbing her by the front of her shirt, and forcibly pushing her to the floor while repeatedly telling her to leave. She ultimately sought medical treatment for her injuries, and she was diagnosed with a sprained ankle and a neck sprain. We've, made contact with her, and she's clarified that she's not in a relationship with the defendant, but she is the mother of the defendant's child. She's also mentioned that the defendant's family has threatened her and continues to threaten her because she called the police for this case. and she's expressed that she is scared for her life. Given these facts, and given the freshness of this, and the state is requesting $1,000 surety on each count. No further contact with Ashley Williams. Stay away from 3232 Spanish Trail, that apartment complex in East Point, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Hey, Judge, can I speak? Yes, I know my.
No, not right this second, Mr. Bryan. Put your hand down. I know that you want to speak. I'm going to let your counsel speak for you on your behalf. If you want to say something more, then I'll give you the opportunity to speak with him. I don't want you to get yourself into any more trouble than you're already in. And this is just a bond hearing today. You'll have a right to litigate this down the way, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. If Miss Ashley Williams is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. You certainly do not have to, but if you would like to, you have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. If you raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I'm contesting the things that happened prior to him putting his hands around my throat and actually choking me to the floor. It wasn't about my family members staying there. It was about my daughter had cerebral palsy, and my sister's been there for 2 days from North Carolina, and I've been trying to find me a place and find me a car so I can move out and so I can move on. I do work 4 days a week. I work with Martin Mobility, so I try to get my business handled so that I can go back to work. So yesterday morning, for the last couple of days, he's been upset because I won't have sex with him. So yesterday, I was going to pick up my glasses, which I have on my face, and I was going to find me a rental car because my son graduates basic training in the Army in Fort Moore on tomorrow. And my daughter, she has cerebral palsy and she drags her feet. And he was telling me that I need to take her with me, but I was like, my baby sister's 22, she can stay here with her. And he just kept yelling at me and screaming at me, telling me that no, she's finna go with you. She's not finna stay here with your sister and this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, my sister agreed to keeping her until I came back. And at this moment, he's going back and forth, yelling, screaming. And I was telling him, like, I'm an adult. Like, you can't hold me here, you know? So he kept going on and on to the fact he ran out the room and ran up on me. He ran up on me out the room and told me, this is my effing house. You ain't finna talk back to me, this, that, and the third. And I told him, look, get off of me. And when I moved, him to get off of me, he turned around and grabbed me by my throat. He had me on the wall. And I fell to the floor. I thought that I literally was gonna pass out. That's why I proceeded to call the police. And when I called the police, he grabbed me and told me that he apologized. He didn't mean to hurt me and all of this. So my neck, I'm in pain. Like I tried, they asked me if I want to go to the emergency room. I said no, because I didn't feel it too much. But later on throughout the night, my ankle was swollen and my neck and stuff has been hurt from him literally slamming me on the floor. So, and then after that, his family had started calling me. His sister actually came over to the residence and I had to call the police. She came over to try to fight me because I called the police. I said, what do y'all expect me to do? He literally choked me out. He could have killed me. So it had nothing to do with my baby sister. He agreed to her coming over with the baby. It had nothing to do with family. It had something to do with my disabled daughter not going with me so that I can get a rental car and go pick up my glasses.
Ms. Williams, and let's see. So do you still live at the Spanish Trail address?
I am, but I'm trying to move because his family been threatening me and I don't feel safe.
Okay, and you don't want any contact with him at the present time, I take it?
No, I don't.
All right.
I don't.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep him from being around you until you can get out of the Spanish Trail address. Okay, and he's not gonna be allowed to have any contact with you.
Because
Okay?
the thing about it is too, see,
My, Jesus, we have a 16-year-old son together. Okay. And I can't leave my son there until he gets away, until I move. Like, I have to take him with me until, you know, he's
Okay,
able.
so like I said, I'm gonna let you stay at that Spanish Trail address, just you and whomever is there until as you're telling me that you find yourself someplace else if that's what you want to do. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, all right. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Williams. Mr. Brian, we see you. Put your hand down. Okay, we're not going to litigate this today. I know that you want to tell me your side of the story, but let Mr. Chatai speak on your behalf this afternoon. I don't want you to get in any more trouble than what you're already in. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Chatai.
Yes, Judge, thank you. Mr. Bryan is a lifelong resident of Georgia. He lives in Atlanta. He has very strong ties to the community. He's 36, and as we heard from pretrial, he's never been in trouble before. This is his first arrest. He has no criminal record at all, no convictions, no failures to appear, or anything of that sort. He is a high school graduate. He graduated from Decatur High School. And for the past year, he's been working at Pro Cutters Landscape. He is a lead supervisor there. And he works there as a maintenance contractor as well. He maintains the contracts. For those reasons, Judge, we ask this court to consider the possibility of a signature bond, otherwise the lowest surety amount possible that would secure his return.
Okay, given his history for the simple battery, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Signature bond, Mr. Bryan. For the battery family violence, a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. He is to have no further contact with Ms. Williams until Ms. Williams is out of the Spanish Trail address. He is not to go back to that address. He can go back on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. Once Ms. Williams moves out of that address, if he chooses to, he can return to that address. Third-party transfer of any minor children for visitation, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Mr. Bryan, let me explain to you what no contact means at this point. No contact means absolutely no contact. No phone contact, no physical contact, obviously, no social media contact, no internet contact, no email contact, no contact whatsoever, or you'll be in violation of this bond order. And your family members are not to contact Ms. Williams as well, okay, on your behalf. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Bryan. Mr. Chatai, if you will see what he wants at the end of the court session, please.
Yes, Judge.
This, Mr.
Going straight down, position 5.
Okay, Mr. Estabar, you have been charged in case 25 CR 001753Y with criminal trespass and theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 10 cycles. Last arrest was January 27th of this year out of DeKalb County for FTA. Appears to be on probation out of Paulding County for theft by shoplifting. Disposition, December 10th, 2024, 12 months probation. A 2022 conviction out of Florida for possession of meth and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. A 2024 conviction for theft by shoplifting. A 2022 FTA out of Florida, and appears to have 2 open theft by shoplifting cases out of DeKalb. Level 3 will be pretrial's recommendation.
Mr. Sirocco?
Thank you, Judge. This incident took place April 1st, 2025. This is at the Walmart located at 844 Cleveland Ave in Atlanta. Law enforcement responded to a theft call there. CCTV footage showed the defendant entering the Walmart after previously being banned from said Walmart, or from all Walmart locations, actually. The footage showed him taking items out of their original packaging, placing them into his pockets, and ultimately took several items valued at around $50. Loss prevention provided proof of that trespass order issued June 16th, 2024. He's reported to be a repeat offender who's previously stolen merch from other Walmarts on several occasions in much larger amounts from 2023 and 2024, 3 different occasions. Given that open or that FTA, it was one of the theft by shops from 2023 is actually what he FTA'd on January 27th of this year. State's requesting a $500 surety bond on each count. Stay away from all Walmart premises and property, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chatai.
Yes, Judge. We ask for the court to consider a signature bond. My client is 30 years old. He's been a Georgia resident for the past 15 years. He attended Georgia Southern University. He studied computer science there for about 2.5 years. And he currently does not have a job, but he's actively looking. Most recently, he worked as a DirecTV technician, and he did that for about 3 years. Given his ties to Georgia, his past stable employment, and the nonviolent nature of the charges, I ask the court to consider a signature bond.
Okay, for each charge will be a $500 good bond, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. Stay away from all Walmarts, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir. This is Mr. Felix. Good afternoon, Mr. Felix. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001754C with theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 3 cycles, 2 out of Georgia, 1 out of New York. Last arrest was out of New York from 2017 for possession of a weapon and possession of 5 or more firearms. There was a conviction, 1 FTA in 2017. Level 3 is pretrial's recommendation.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes, Judge. This incident took place yesterday, April 2nd at 1100 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, Atlanta. It's a UPS there. Law enforcement was working an extra job at the location, and the officer was approached by a security supervisor there, Mr. Tobias Philyaw, Philyaw, who reported that 2 individuals were being questioned about stealing UPS merchandise. The defendant was one of those individuals who stole an iPhone, approximately $800 in value. It was UPS property, grabbed the phone and left the store with it. There was security camera footage and pictures that captured the incident. He was arrested on scene. I do see a felony theft by shoplifting from 2015 that was placed on judicial hold following an FTA from February 22nd, 2018. So I will note that, but the state is requesting a signature bond for pretrial services. Stay away from the incident location, 1100 Fulton Industrial, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Any objection to any of that, Mr. Chatai?
No objection, Judge.
Okay, as such, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No, stay away from the incident location, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Felix. It's the position 9, I believe, Mr. Gay, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Gay. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001757E with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes. A total of 9 cycles. Last arrest was in 2017 for purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana, 2 counts. That was a conviction out of Clayton County. Prior to that, the last conviction I show was in 97 for criminal trespass. Nothing further.
Mrs. Rocco?
Yes, Judge, this incident took place April 1st of this year at 844 Cleveland Avenue, East Point, the Walmart at that location. Law enforcement responded to a theft by shoplifting call. On arrival, spoke with loss prevention employee, Miss Samonte Holloway, Samonte Holloway, who explained the defendant had come into the Walmart and had taken Walmart bags, began taking items. Defendant was observed on video surveillance, taking food and drink items, coming in a little under $90. Observed him walk to the back of the store, put the items in the Walmart bag, and try to portray that he was or had purchased the items. Then he walked to the front of the store and tried to exit, where loss prevention confronted him. I see a note that he's been banned from other Walmart locations. The state's requesting a signature bond through pretrial services, stay away from all Walmart premises and property, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Objection, Mr. Chatai?
I do not object, Judge.
I'm gonna have him go through the jail, $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from all Walmarts, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Gay. Yeah, I believe this is position number 11. Mr. Jones, is that right? Yes?
Right.
Okay, very good. Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001759E with battery, family violence, criminal trespass, and theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
No, he position 11 and 12.
Oh, okay, thank you. And also, Mr. Jones, you've been charged in case 25 CR 001760E with battery, family violence. Yes, Ms. Roberts.
A total of 8 cycles. Last arrest was from June of 2024 for aggravated assault and battery, family violence out of DeKalb County. That appears to be open. Also appears to have an open case in DeKalb for simple assault and terroristic threats. That arrest is from September of 2023. 1 FTA from 2022. Level 3 is pretrial recommendation. Nothing further.
Yes, Ms. Toller.
Really quickly, Miss Roberts, is he wanted out of College Park? Did you see that?
Let me check.
While she does that, this is basically the same incident date. They happened on April 1st, 2025, and between April 1st, 2025 into the morning of April 2nd, 2025. The first incident location is 2451 Old National Parkway. Officers responded to this address regarding a theft and met with the victim and Miss Randrika Taylor, Randricka. She told officers she and the defendant, who was the father of her child, had gotten to a verbal dispute. The defendant then physically attacked her and started taking her belongings. Defendant told Miss Taylor he would get another female to come to the hotel and fight her, which caused a verbal dispute, and it turned physical when the defendant snatched her by her hair, causing a large bald spot on the right side of Miss Taylor's head where her hair was ripped out. He then pushed her out of the room, which was in her name, locked her out, and left the scene with 2 of her mobile phones and her purse as she went to get herself another key in the lobby. The second incident happened at 2900 Laurel Ridge Way in East Point. The victim in this incident is the same victim in the DeKalb County incident that was upgraded to a felony. Her name is Miss Jessica Hawkins. Officers responded to a fight call. They made contact with Miss Hawkins, who stated her and the defendant, who was her boyfriend, got into a verbal altercation because he was upset another male paid for her vehicle tag. He then punched her in her mouth, causing lacerations to the side of her mouth. Defendant was detained by neighborhood security. He stated they were outside of the car and he wanted to take his phone and his dog, and she grabbed his dog, and in tussling over his dog, he accidentally elbowed her in the mouth. Like I mentioned earlier, there is an open case with this victim. He is out on bond for this felony charge. The victim did send in pictures of her hospital visit and injuries. The medical documentation she sent in does say she went to the hospital for a car accident, but she stated to our victim advocate, she only told them that so she'd be seen quicker, and didn't want the emergency services at her mom's apartment complex for this domestic violence incident, because it would have been documented. She did state she's on Zoom. We can sound for her when appropriate. The first case, we are looking for a $4,500 surety bond. That's $2,000 on the battery, $2,000 on the theft by taking, $500 on the criminal trespass. No further contact with Rondrika Taylor. A stay away from her home address is unclear whether she lives at the hotel or not, and one-day anger awareness. The second case, since he's out on felony bond for that case, we're looking for an $8,000 surety bond on this case. Stay away from 2900 Laurel Ridge Way in East Point, or it does have the victim's address as a 198 Staten Road in East Point in Georgia. I'll let her advise which one is her home address. A family violence intervention program, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. If we could sound for both victims when appropriate, that would be Miss Rondrika Taylor and Miss Jessica Hawkins.
Okay, let me start with Ms. Hawkins, since I see her on the line. Ms. Hawkins, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I would need for you to activate your camera and mute yourself, and I'll have to screen you in. Ms. Hawkins, if you can unmute yourself for me, please.
Hey, how you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Raise your right hand for me, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Yes,
but the
sir.
truth?
Yes, sir, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
Nothing really. She already said everything. It's really nothing for me to say.
Okay,
Like,
so
yeah, it's nothing for me to say.
do you live at the Laurel Ridge Way
Yes,
address,
I
or do you
do.
live?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
all right, very good. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Hawkins. If Ms. Rondrika Taylor is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Okay, yes, Mr. Chitai.
Yes, Judge. I asked the court to consider surety bond in the $1,000 to $2,000 range for both cases combined. My client is 20 years old. He just turned 20. He is a lifelong resident of Georgia. He lives in the Atlanta area. He's a minimal flight risk, therefore. He's working on getting his GED at the At Promise Center near Vine City. And at the moment, he's also trying to find a job. Furthermore, he would not be able to afford the bond that the state is recommending. So for those reasons, we ask for the $1,000 to $2,000 range for the surety.
Okay, on position number 11, the battery will be a $2,000 good bond. The criminal trespass, a $500 good bond. The theft, $500 good bond. Makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Taylor. Stay away from the Old National Parkway address. Third-party transfer of any minor children for visitation. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. For position number 12, the battery family violence, a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Jessica Hawkins. Stay away from the Laurel Ridge Way address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Ms. Jones, are you here for this case?
Yes, Jabais Jones is my son.
Okay, if you would like to speak, Ms. Jones, I need for you to activate your camera again for me, ma'am.
I'm trying to see how to do it. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Oh,
Raise your right,
nothing.
hold on. Raise your right hand for me, okay?
Okay.
All right. You're not driving, are you?
No, I'm sitting in the park.
All right. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Jones. What would you like to tell the court?
You answer the question. I just want him to stay away from both of the females because they causing drama at my house with my kids. So I just run for them to, just part their own ways right now.
Okay, so I've ordered your son to stay away from them so they can have no further contact.
Thank
So,
you.
all right. Thank you for being here, Ms. Jones.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You do the same. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Jones. Who do we have next? Okay, this is position number 13. Mr. Moore, is that right?
Your Honor.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Moore. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001745F with simple assault and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Give me one moment, please.
I think I do have it for you.
Please.
Okay, I have a simple assault, harassment, terroristic threats, and simple assault out of New Jersey, and I have an aggravated assault out of Georgia from 2019.
Okay, that's what I show as well. I do show that aggravated assault was amended to a disorderly conduct, but that's all I show. And level one would be pretrial's recommendation.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Dunlap.
This incident date happened on April 2nd, 2025 at 30 Alabama Street Southwest. This is a MARTA station. The victim in this case is Savidia Ali. It's spelled Sayvidah, last name Ali. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Officers responded to a harassment call on the westbound platform of the MARTA station. They heard commotion upon arriving. They saw the victim with mace in her hand and feared the defendant. She stated that she was on the phone with her male friend. The defendant sat in front of her, started name calling her, began verbally harassing her, stood up and started flaring his arms and screaming more insults towards her to get up, and she moved towards the emergency button on the train. The state is looking for a $2,000 surety bond on this case. I believe he was stay away from all MARTA stations, 1 day anger awareness, no further contact with the victim, Sayvidah Ali, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I believe he was previously criminal trespass from all MARTA stations. So
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dunlap. If Ms. Ali is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Mr. Geddes?
Thank you. My client is 51 years old. He's been in Georgia for the past 5 years. He did previously live in New Jersey. My understanding is that up until recently, he was working for a company called Harvest Sherwood Distributors. Unfortunately, they went through a round of layoffs, and he lost his position through that and is currently looking for new employment. He has expressed to me he has a bachelor's degree in history and social work. He volunteers with the Atlanta Mission. Your Honor, we would just ask you to consider a signature bond on these charges.
Okay, for the simple assault will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the criminal trespass, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from all MARTAs, no further contact with Ms. Ali, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Okay, is this Mr. Eugene Tony?
Yes.
Okay, this is position 17. Good afternoon, Mr. Tony. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001743C with 2 counts of battery, criminal cruelty to children in 3rd degree, and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, I'm showing 56 cycles. Last arrest was from July of 2024 out of Cobb County for a probation violation. Appears to have an open case for simple battery family violence, 24 CR 000644C. Simple battery conviction, 2024. A criminal trespass conviction, 2023 and 2024. Financial transaction card fraud convictions, 2020 and 2017. Willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer convictions, 2019 and 2018. Simple assault conviction, 2018. Theft by taking conviction, 2018. Theft by shoplifting conviction, 2016. Theft by deception, 2014. Aggravated assault, 2013. FTAs, 2018, 2 in 2014, and 2 in 2016, and 1 in 2014. He did have more convictions past 2013. That's just where I stopped.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
The recommendation is what you're going to say. I'm sorry. Did I cut you off, Ms. Roberts?
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just saying nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to make it clear, this is an incident from February of 2024. And this is a delayed arrest specifically because what you just heard about, this young man has a open 24 CR 0000644E case. He was in court right after that incident in February 2024. His open case is an assault on his mother. And he was taken directly from here to his various probation violations and has been unavailable again until just now. So this incident occurred on the 4th of February, the day before he was arrested for an assault on his mother with that open case. Police were called at about 10 a.m. to 779 Magnolia Way Northwest, specifically to apartment 1321 there. They met with the young woman. Her name is Chantrice Johnson. She had obvious swelling on her face as well as a laceration above her left eyebrow when she spoke to police. She reported that the defendant at that time was 17 and that he came to her house every once in a while to visit. He had assaulted her on this date in front of her child, juvenile with the initials JJ. She reported that the defendant is homeless and she would occasionally let him come over and visit. He came over on that date, the 5th of February, and asked if anybody had dropped off any money for him. She reported that she was not aware that anybody had done that, and he started to talk to himself and under his breath saying that he was going to kill her, as if he were speaking to someone that was not present. He then charged at her, grabbed a broom, and then grabbed a slat from a bed, which is a large wooden object, and began striking her with it repeatedly. During this assault, he also took her phone from her and broke it. And she reported that her child, JJ, was audibly asking the defendant to please stop hitting his mother. So this was reported, and eventually officers took out a warrant, but he was arrested shortly thereafter after assaulting his mother. And in the warrants for that case, she actually reports to the police that he had just assaulted this woman as well. So this was an incident that was known to the police department. They just watched him get arrested for the assault on his mother and then go through the probation violation situation that he has had since last February in Cobb County, and then a Cobb County conviction. He also is on the first appearance today for an aggravated assault, also from last year in July, and that's 25 PI 001197. This young man, since he's been arrested just this first time, has had multiple jail incidences. You just heard about a lengthy criminal history for a very young individual that includes multiple convictions for violence, including aggravated assault. We did try to get in touch with Ms. Johnson today since it's been a year. That was not successful, but we'll continue those efforts. If you'd sound for her, just in case she got our message and was able to join. But based on the history, the new counts, the open case, let's see. And that open case was actually a conviction, that 24 CR 0000644E. So it's open in probation. As part of that disposition, he was ordered to undergo a MH evaluation and to participate in DVIP. There's an active warrant for probation violation on that case, Your Honor. We're asking for an $8,000 cash-only bond, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, to absolutely stay away from Ms. Johnson and wherever she may live. If it's no longer the Magnolia Way address as well, stay away from her child. This defendant has such a serious criminal history with multiple convictions. That's the reason we're asking for this cash-only bond, Your Honor. That's unusual that the state asks for this kind of bond, but there's clearly something going on here. He represents a danger to the public in general, but also to his mother, as well as people he's not related to, who've tried to offer him comfort and support.
Thank you. Mr. Geddes?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. My client's 34 years old. My understanding is that he's lived his entire life in Georgia. He does have numerous family connections in Georgia. He expressed to me that he has finished high school. He's not currently working. My understanding, based off what he's expressed to me, is that his father resides in Cobb County and he was staying with him prior to being arrested. Your Honor, I do understand that he has a history. That being said, my understanding is that he does have a hold based out of another county. So even if Your Honor gave him the UJR today, he would not likely be released. He would have to go and address that first. So I'm not asking the court to consider a UJR. I am just asking you to consider the lowest possible bond given the circumstances.
And for each battery charge will be a $2,000 good bond. For the cruelty, a $500 good bond. For the criminal trespass, a $500 good bond. Makes for a total of a $5,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Johnson. Stay away from the Magnolia Way address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. And I take it that he will probably be on there's a probation violation that'll be taken up at the SAP calendar more than likely.
I
That
believe so.
calendar will be on April 17th. So we'll see you back on April 17th, Mr. Tony.
And he's currently in no bond status on that aggravated assault and felony court this morning.
Thank you.
All right, 20.
Okay, is this Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams? Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Williams. This is position number 20. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001750C with 2 counts of battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
4 cycles. Last arrest was March 30th of this year for driving without a valid license in Hiram. That case appears to be open. 1 conviction from 2013 out of Alabama for harassment and nothing further. Level 2 is pretrial recommendation.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from July the 20th of 2024. There's been a warrant outstanding since that period. The defendant was picked up in Paulding County, I'm guessing after his arrest in Hiram. Police were called at about 5 p.m. on the 20th of July to 7390 Amherst Terrace. There they spoke with the live-in girlfriend of this defendant at the time. Her name is Shawana Shaw. She reported that she and the defendant lived together at the location, were in a relationship, and that her son, who was 18 years old at the time, had been assaulted by this gentleman. She reported that her son had bumped into her boyfriend as he exited the garage, and that her boyfriend, the defendant in front of you, retaliated by assaulting her son. His name is Jamari Lyles. Assaulting her son with a closed fist as well as an open hand, striking him repeatedly. He was actually seen to have bruising all over his body, back, chest, neck, and he had multiple lacerations on his face, including under his eye. The defendant had fled the location in his vehicle, so a warrant was issued and it was just served on the defendant when he was picked up in Hiram, Georgia, for that driving without a license. He does have a aggravated assault arrest out of Alabama from 2013 that was reduced to a harassment and a conviction, and a burglary arrest as well out of Alabama. We did try to get in touch with the family, Mrs. Shaw and her son today, but we haven't been successful yet. We'll continue those efforts. If you would sound for Jamari Lyles or Shawana Shaw, just in case they've joined us, we're asking for a $6,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact with either Mrs. Shaw or her son, Mr. Lyles, who's now an adult, and to stay away from wherever they may be living, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Opportunity. Any objection to any of the state's requests, Mr. Geddes?
My understanding is that they currently reside at separate addresses, Your Honor, so I don't think we'd have an objection.
Okay, and the Amherst Terrace address is that his address or not his address?
My understanding was that it is not his address.
Okay. So as such, for each charge will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, makes for a total of a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with either of the alleged victims. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Williams. Okay, and is this Mr. Oscar Wemby?
Me, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Let's see, you have been charged in case 25 CR 001752F with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, a total of 22 cycles.
No.
Last arrest was February 13th of 2023 for a probation violation. A 2022, 2003, and 2001 convictions for driving while license suspended or revoked. A 2009 conviction for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, sale of marijuana, and possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. And a 2009 conviction for possession of a controlled substance. Level 2 is pretrial's recommendation and nothing further.
Your
Ms.
Honor,
Allen?
thank you. This is one count of criminal trespass from yesterday, April the 2nd. Police were called to 2600 Old Hateville Road Southwest. That's the Bolden Forest Apartment Homes. It's reported that maintenance and the manager there at the location had gone to a vacant unit, which is typical to check on the vacant units, specifically Unit 4. The defendant was there with 2 guests that he had invited. Obviously, he did not have permission to be there, and he was not a leaseholder or renter at the location, and neither were his guests. All of the individuals were asked to leave, and the defendant was taken into custody. He actually made admissions that he'd been in the location since the 30th of March. Maintenance had been there changing the locks on multiple units, and he took advantage of the period of time where there was no active lock on it and made entry and stayed in the location. We're asking for a $2,000 SOB. He has had recent probation violations. He was arrested in 2023 for a felony drug possession that was dismissed. But ultimately, the 2009 possession with intent and firearms conviction is a 30-year sentence. And so based on his history more recently, it looks like there's a substance abuse issue and he continues to drive without a license. But for that reason, we're just asking for an SOB through pretrial for him to stay away from that location, the Bolden Forest Homes, apartments, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Mr. Gates, does your client need assistance with housing?
I believe so, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, and do you have any objection to the state's request?
I think we're fine with the UJR, Your Honor.
Okay, so I do want him to get some assistance with housing, so I'll order a social worker visit to assist him. So it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the incident location. A social worker visit to assist with housing, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, sir.
God bless you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, good luck to you, Mr. Lumley. Let's see, I see that we have the interpreter on the line, Madam Interpreter. Who has, I believe that's for position 2, Angel Jimenez.
That's my case, Judge.
Okay, and Mr. Chatai, is that your case?
Yes, Judge.
And do you need to speak with him with the interpreter prior to a hearing?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do we have Mr. Angel Jimenez in courtroom 2? Okay, so I know that we have to do him. Good afternoon, Madam Interpreter. Thank you for being here with us. I appreciate it. So,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. We're gonna place courtroom 2, if it's okay with you, Mr. Tatai, just place you into a breakout room with courtroom 2. Looks like it's pretty clear. Is that okay with you? Mr. Chatai, did you hear me?
Yes, that's okay with me.
Okay, so if we can place Madam Interpreter, Mr. Chatai, and courtroom two into a breakout room. While they're in the breakout room,
Okay,
we will we'll be in recess. And I know that we still have Ms. Pollard to address, so we'll do that after we handle Mr. Angel. All right, we'll be in recess until they return. Okay, are we ready to proceed, Mr. Chatai?
Yes, we are, Judge.
Okay, Madam Interpreter, if you'll raise your right hand for me, do you swear or affirm that you will translate from English to Spanish to English to the best of your ability? You're on mute.
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Angel Jimenez. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001758G with 2 counts of battery family violence, criminal trespass, and theft by taking.
Buenas tardes, señor Ángel Jiménez. Este es el caso 25CR001758G. Usted tiene 3 acusaciones, 2 acusaciones de agresión y violencia doméstica, una de allanamiento criminal y otra de robo por apropiación.
Their history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 3 cycles.
El juez pide el historial penal suyo y le informan que tiene 3 ciclos.
Last arrest March 20th of this year out of Cobb County for driving while without a valid license and possession of cocaine.
El último arresto fue el 20 de marzo de este año en el condado de Cobb por manejar sin licencia de conducir y posesión de cocaína.
That is an open case.
Ese caso está abierto.
Convictions 2016, driving without a valid license.
Tiene otra, cuando lo encontraron culpable en el 2016 de manejar sin licencia de conducir, válida.
And 2 battery convictions in 2007.
Y en el 2007, 2 acusaciones también encontrado culpable por agresión y violencia doméstica.
Nothing further. Level 3 is pretrial's recommendation, nothing further.
La recomendación de la agencia ante juicio es de un nivel 3.
Mr. Siraka?
Thank you, Judge. This incident took place on July 8th, 2024 at 114 Summerwood Drive in Fairburn.
Este incidente tuvo lugar el 8 de julio del 2024 en el 114 de Summerwood Drive en Fairburn.
Law enforcement responded in reference to an assault that next day, July 9th.
La policía llegó el siguiente día, el 9 de julio, en referencia a un asalto.
Upon arrival, law enforcement spoke with the victim, Fatima Juarez Franco. That's Jurez dash Franco, Franco, who explained she was assaulted by the defendant.
Cuando llegó la policía, hablaron con la señora Fátima Juárez Franco, quien indicó que había sido agredida por el acusado.
She explained that she had been living with the defendant in the days leading up to the incident at his residence.
Ella explicó que había estado viviendo con el acusado los días antes de este evento en la residencia de él.
The defendant wanted to have a relationship with her, but she was not interested, which caused the defendant to become upset and hostile with her.
El acusado quería tener una relación con ella, pero ella no quería, y es lo que causó que él se enfade y que la agreda.
She went to the defendant's home to collect her belongings, which the defendant prevented her from doing.
Ella llegó a la casa del acusado para recoger y llevarse sus pertenencias, lo cual él le impidió que hiciera eso.
He then proceeded to grab her by the hair,
De
throw
ahí,
her
sorry,
to the, good. Grab her by the hair, throw her to the ground, and kick her repeatedly.
De ahí lo que él hizo fue agarrarla del pelo, tirarla al piso y patearle repetidas veces.
During the altercation, the defendant took a number of personal belongings of the victim, valuing roughly $560.
Durante este incidente, el acusado tomó varias pertenencias de la víctima, valorizadas en más o menos $560.
She sustained an abrasion to her right knee, bruising on her arms and her legs, and complained of head pain all over that she felt was swelling.
Ella tuvo un golpe en su rodilla derecha, aparte tuvo moretones en los brazos, en las piernas y dolores de cabeza de los cuales ella se quejó.
She also reported a previous incident on June 16th, where the defendant had left bruises on her upper right arm after grabbing and shaking her because she was talking to another man.
De ahí también ella reportó que el 16 de junio había habido otro incidente donde ella terminó con el brazo el brazo derecho con moretones porque el acusado la había tomado duro y de los brazos y la había meneado porque había estado hablando con otra persona, con otro hombre.
The defendant's identity was confirmed using photo identification.
Y la identidad del acusado fue confirmada usando identificación de fotografía.
As stated, Judge, there is an open possession of cocaine and driving without a valid license charge in Cobb County.
Como ya sabe su señoría, existe un caso abierto en el condado de Cobb por manejar sin licencia de conducir y por posesión de cocaína.
You've heard about the previous batteries from '07. That's in a different county.
¿Ha escuchado usted ya de las agresiones anteriores en el 2007? Sorry, which county, Mr.
I don't have that county in front of me.
Never mind. I thought you mentioned it. Please forgive me.
I did not. That's okay. Thank you. And you've heard about the previous incident referenced involving the defendant in addition to the facts here.
Y también escuchó del incidente previo con este acusado y de los hechos aquí mencionados.
We have tried reaching out to make contact with the victim. We weren't able to do so in advance of today's hearing.
Hemos intentado comunicarnos con la víctima, pero no pudimos hacerlo antes de esta audiencia del día de hoy.
If she is here, we would like to sound for her when appropriate.
Y queremos saber si es que ella está aquí. Vamos a llamarla cuando sea apropiado y el juez lo indique.
Given this, the state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond on each battery family violence count and $500 surety bonds on each of the criminal trespass and theft by taking counts, as well as, go ahead.
La recomendación de la fiscalía es una fianza con un bono de fianza asegurado por $1,500 por cada uno de los cargos de agresión y violencia doméstica y $500, un bono asegurado de $500 por los otros dos cargos, el de allanamiento criminal y el de robo por apropiación.
We are also asking for no further contact with Fatima Juarez Franco, anger awareness, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Estamos pidiendo también una orden de que no tenga ningún acto futuro con la señora Fátima Juárez Franco, de que tome clases de manejo de la ira y de que no puede beber bebidas alcohólicas, no puede usar drogas ni puede tener armas mientras está en fianza.
Okay, Madam Interpreter, would you sound for the alleged victim? Mrs. Rocco, can you tell her that name, please?
I have it,
Yes.
Your Honor. I have it.
Oh, okay, thank
I
you.
did write it down. Damas y caballeros, si en la llamada de Zoom se encuentra la señora Fátima Juárez Franco. Si la señora Fátima Juárez Franco se encuentra en la llamada de Zoom, por favor, abra su cámara y su micrófono. We do have a phone a camera that just opened up, Your Honor. Would you like me to confirm if that is?
Yes, if you would.
La señora, hay una cámara que se acaba de prender de la señora Adela. ¿Puede por favor prender su micrófono y confirmar si es que es la señora Fátima Juárez Franco? No le escucho, tiene que prender su micrófono. And there we go.
Ya.
Ya. ¿Es la señora Fátima Juárez Franco?
No, soy la señora García. Adela García.
No, my name is Adela García.
This is the mother
Okay.
on the case number 1.
Okay, thank you. We'll be with her.
Ok, señora, este no es el caso todavía. Entonces, por favor, vuelva a cerrar su micrófono y la cámara. Después yo le llamo, ¿ok?
¿Cierro también la cámara?
Sí, no lo apague, nada más quítese de la cámara y del micrófono, pero quédese conectada.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Chatai.
Thank you, Judge. My client is originally from Mexico. He completed high school there.
Este es su abogado defensor que indica que su cliente es originalmente de México, terminó la preparatoria allá.
He is 37 years old and he has been in the remodeling business for the past 10 years.
Tiene 37 años de edad y ha estado en el negocio de remodelación por los últimos 10 años.
Your Honor, my client would not object to a no further contact or stay away order.
Mi cliente no tiene ninguna objeción de una orden judicial para que no se acerque a la víctima.
And we just ask the court to consider the lowest surety amount possible that is reasonable to secure his return.
Y pedimos a la corte la cantidad más baja de bono de fianza asegurado para que él pueda salir.
Okay, for each of the battery family violence charges, it will be $1,000 good bond. For each of the other 2 charges will be a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond.
Y lo que el juez le da es por cada una de las acusaciones criminales un bono de fianza asegurado por $1,000 cada uno y por las otras acusaciones $500 por cada una con un bono asegurado de fianza de un total de $3,000.
No further contact with Ms. Franco. Stay away from her residential address, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
No, la orden judicial incluye ningún contacto con la señora Fátima Juárez Franco. No puede usar bebidas alcohólicas, drogas o poseer armas durante el tiempo que esté fuera bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
He has a question, Mr. Chatai?
Yes, Mr. Angel Jimenez, what is it?
Señor Ángel Jiménez, ¿cuál es su pregunta?
No he tenido otro caso de violencia doméstica. No sé por qué dicen, nunca he tenido otro caso de violencia.
I just wanted to clarify that I have never had another case of family violence, and I don't know where that came from.
Okay. Good luck to you, sir.
Okay, señor. Buena suerte.
Let's go back to position number 1. Mr. Alonso, I see that we have Ms. Garcia here. Madam Interpreter, if you can ask Ms. Garcia to come back on camera for me.
Señora Adela García, ya puede prender su cámara y su micrófono.
Ms. Allen, are you going to have questions for Ms. Garcia?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, if you'll ask Ms. Garcia to raise her right hand for me.
Señora García, si puede levantar su mano derecha, por favor.
Swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Jura usted y afirma que el testimonio que nos dará aquí el día de hoy será la verdad, solo la verdad y nada más que la verdad, bajo palabra de Dios.
Sí.
Yes. Gracias. Puede bajar su mano.
Thank you. Yes, Miss Allen.
Thank you for being here.
Gracias por venir y estar aquí el día de hoy.
Can you give the court some information about your daughter, the 13-year-old, and whether she was injured yesterday during this incident?
¿Le puede dar al juez alguna información sobre su hija, la que tiene 13 años, y si es que ella fue lastimada o lesionada durante este incidente ayer?
No, ella está bien. Tiene una pequeña lesión en la palma. ¿En cuál mano fue, hija?
No,
En la palma de la mano derecha, pero ella misma se lo hizo por accidente. Pero es muy ligera.
no, she is fine. She has a small, very small wound on the palm of her hand. And as an interpreter's note, witness was asking the question to somebody else in the room, which hand was affected, and came back and mentioned that it was the right hand, but it was something that it was sort of like self-inflicted. She had, it had occurred to her.
Is your 13-year-old daughter present there with you?
¿Está su hija de 13 años ahí con usted?
Sí.
Yes.
And would you allow her to communicate with the court?
¿Le daría permiso a usted a ella para que ella se comunique con la corte?
Sí.
Yes. ¿Le puede poner el teléfono a ella o que ella se ponga atrás suyo para ver la cámara también?
Sí, gracias.
Give me a second.
Ven.
I'm calling her.
And Your Honor, if you'd like to inquire of this young woman, the state is perfectly fine with that. We were just concerned that wasn't
Póntelo a ver si
something
escucha.
we
Ponte
were
acá
able
para
to
que
do
te mire.
earlier.
I'll have you inquire with Miss Allen if you like.
No, le
I
bajo.
may have a few questions as well, Judge.
Oh.
Okay. All right, and so this is the initials EA.
Your Honor, may I just please briefly determine whether she's going to need an interpreter?
Okay, thank you.
Señorita, con las iniciales EA, ¿hablas inglés o necesitas un intérprete? I speak English, she said.
Okay. Yes, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Is that a yes? Okay, you're gonna have to get closer for me so I can hear you, okay? Okay. All right, go ahead and speak again for me so I can see if I can hear you.
¿Qué hiciste?
Nada.
Okay, I can hear you now. Okay. Can you tell me what happened in this incident? Can you tell me what happened?
Like the full thing or like,
Were you injured as a result of the incident?
yes, but it was like a self-injury.
So tell me what happened.
Huh?
Tell me what happened.
Okay. Let me see. It's cause, okay. So first my dad called me on my phone asking me to tell my brother to pick up the phone to answer him. And I told him, and my brother said, okay, I'll do that. I'll do it in a bit. And then my dad called me again, and I told him, okay. And I yelled at him, like told him, okay, answer the phone, please. And he said he's gonna do that in a bit. And then my dad sent a message telling me it's urgent and stuff. So what happened is I threw a plushie down to get my attention of my brother to call him. And then after a while, we started to
yell at each other. He said something to me first. I forgot what he said. And then, like, the food arrived, and my brother told me, oh, to get the food. But I said, no, I didn't want it anymore. And then he was like, that cost like something, something. I forgot how much it cost, but he told me it costed something. And I told him, I don't care. And then that's when he basically started to call me useless, everything like that. And then I started to like talk to him back, saying like bring up like all the stuff he used to do to me at the past, like basically like yell at me, hit me, everything. And that's when I started to like I got like this statue of like what's her name again? Mary. And I like started to slam it against my nightstand because like that's something that I always do whenever I'm just mad or like talking back to someone. I start clapping my hands or moving my hands or something like that, like something like that. So I just grabbed like the statue and started to slam it, and that's when it broke, and that's when I got this. So it didn't come from my brother. And then I kept on going on about like the stuff he was doing to me, and he told me I should just come up there. And I was like, okay, bet, come up here. And I did feel unsafe, so that's why I grabbed the scissors and like the glass cup. There was like a glass cup up here, so I grabbed that too. And when he came up here, he told me bare hands, and I was like, what I say? I was like, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was like, okay. And that's when he went back downstairs, and I like moved to another place to like get away from him. And I was like, that's why I'm gonna talk to the social worker tomorrow about everything. And he was like, I forgot what he said, but he said something. And then he went back downstairs, and that's when I called the social worker from my school. And that's when she called the police. The police came, took my brother into custody, and yeah.
Okay. Any questions, Miss Allen?
Mm,
So you're telling us that the injury to your hand was caused when you accidentally cut your hand handling a statue?
yeah, because I was slamming it
Got it.
and it broke, and
Yes.
yeah.
Why did you call the social worker and not your parents?
Because my I knew my mom wouldn't answer because she was at work, and sometimes she wouldn't answer. And I already like sent her a text message first, because mostly I kind of sent her a text message to like see if she would answer, and she wouldn't. But at that moment, I felt like it was better to call the social worker because I felt unsafe than my mom. I knew my mom was gonna do something if I did call her, but I knew like she wasn't gonna call at the time because she was at work. So instead, I called the social worker to like tell her and everything.
Has this ever happened before?
Arguments like fights like this, or like arguments?
The police report indicates that you told the police you were afraid and you got the scissors because this has happened before and you needed to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So you felt like you had to protect yourself before?
Mm-hmm.
And have you had any communication with your brother since his arrest?
No.
Did you go to school today?
I went to talk with the social worker because she wanted to meet me and my mom, but then they allowed me to like go back home, and they fixed my like attendance into like an excuse, so I did stay at home today.
So you spoke to your social worker today and you did not go to school.
That's right.
Are you afraid of your brother?
A bit, yeah.
When you talk about things he's done in the past, does that include making you feel like you have to protect yourself with scissors?
Not like protect myself, but like anything that I can find or like fight back, I guess, basically.
Those are all the questions I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Geddes?
Yes. Miss, do you have any issue with the idea of your brother staying in the same house with you going forward?
Like,
I don't think that that's an appropriate question.
Well, I'm gonna let him ask because I think it's appropriate. Go ahead.
Mm, I feel like it will make me uncomfortable, probably unsafe, just probably more uncomfortable.
Okay, so you don't want him there, is that right?
That's why I don't want it.
Okay, you can tell the truth, that's fine. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Geddes?
That's all.
All right, thank you, young lady. Do you all have any other questions of the mother?
I did have one question, Your Honor.
Okay, if you can put your mom back on,
Okay.
please. Go ahead, Mr. Geddes.
Ma'am, would you be the one paying the bond for Mr. Alonso if he's given one today?
Señora Adela, la pregunta es, si es que le dan una fianza al señor Alonso, a su hijo el día de hoy, ¿usted va a ser quien pague la fianza?
Sí.
Okay.
Yes.
If he is unable to stay with you for the immediate future, do you know of another place he'd be able to stay?
Si es que él no puede quedarse con usted en su casa en el futuro inmediato, ¿hay algún otro lugar donde él pueda vivir?
Yo creo que con su tía.
I think with his aunt.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Okay, and Miss Garcia, if I let him out, would you be able to, or you or another adult be able to co-sign for him to get out of jail?
Señora García, si es que esta es pregunta del juez, si es que yo le dejo salir a su hijo el día de hoy, ¿puede usted o algún otro adulto venir a firmar por él?
¿Qué necesito yo para firmar?
What would I need to do in order to co-sign for him?
Just have to come, we get you the paperwork and you just have to sign to get him out and transport him to wherever he decides to go.
Tiene que, nada más tiene que venir usted, llenar unos papeles y después se lleva a su hijo y lo transporta y lo lleva a donde quieren que él vaya, o sea, con su tía, me imagino.
¿Y cuánto tiempo es que él no va a poder estar conmigo?
How long is he not going to be able to be with me?
Until this matter is resolved.
Hasta que se resuelva este caso.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you get her to answer my question as to whether she will be able to sign and come get him?
Entonces usted puede contestar la pregunta del juez si es que usted va a poder venir personalmente para recogerlo a él y firmar por él.
Sí.
Yes.
Are you able to give me the proper spelling of your name?
¿Me da su nombre completo, por favor, señora Adela?
Adela Serrano García.
Y es Adela Serrano, es Serrano, García normal.
Sí.
Your Honor, the interpreter confirmed spelling with Ms. Garcia. First name Adela, first last name Serrano, that is Serrano. Second last name Garcia, just common spelling.
Okay. Thank you for being here this afternoon, ma'am.
Gracias, señora, por estar aquí el día de hoy.
Miss Allen?
Just briefly, Ms. Garcia, is your son Ramses in school?
Señora García, la fiscalía tiene unas preguntas para usted. ¿Su hijo Ramses está en la escuela?
Sí, está estudiando.
Yes, he's studying.
Where?
¿En dónde? ¿En qué escuela?
En la Roswell High School.
Roswell High School.
But he was not in school yesterday?
¿Pero él no fue a la escuela ayer?
Or was this after school?
¿O
Sí.
este incidente pasó después del horario de la escuela?
Sí, de hecho, su hermana ayer llegó un poco más tarde porque ella iba a salir a las 5 de la tarde. Ese fue el motivo de que yo no me encontraba en la casa.
Yes, he went to school all day. This happened after hours, and actually his sister was late to come home, and she got home a little bit after 5, which is the reason why I wasn't home.
Have these incidences between your children happened in the past? Do you have concerns?
La pregunta es si es que estos incidentes entre sus hijos han sucedido antes y tiene usted algo que le preocupe sobre eso.
Pues es que es como todo hermano normal, de repente se disgustan y habían discutido a palabras, o sea, defendiéndose uno y el otro. Pero siempre estaba yo y siempre me he metido en medio de los dos. Ayer yo ya me había ido a trabajar cuando sucedió esto.
They fight like siblings fight, and normally I'm around to break it off. But yesterday this happened after I had left to go to work, and they just said mean words to each other.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Geddes?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Yes, Miss Allen.
Una cosa,
There's something I'd like to add.
Okay, yes,
deseo
ma'am.
dejarles saber que él está diagnosticado con autismo.
I would like to let you know that he has an autism diagnosis.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
The
gracias.
only other question I would ask, Your Honor, is whether or not there are any services that we can provide or any support that we can provide for the home.
You're asking Miss Garcia?
Yes.
Oh, my apologies. Señora García, ¿hay algún otro servicio, hay algún apoyo que proveen en su casa, que hay alguien en su casa que pueda apoyarla con el diagnóstico de su hijo?
¿Cómo apoyarme?
What do you mean by support?
Well, it sounds like this is a situation that is creating an issue in the home and disrupting the family life.
Bueno, parece que esto es un caso, es algo que sucede en su hogar y que está interrumpiendo las relaciones entre la familia.
The conditions of Ramesses bond can include things like complying with mental health treatment, attending school, having no violent contact. And so the purpose of us reaching out today was to determine what is it that mom, as the head of this household, needs in support of this issue.
Entonces, algunas cosas que la orden judicial puede incluir es que él está obligado de ir a la escuela o necesita ir a terapias o necesita, o sea, cualquier cosa que apoye a la casa. Y por eso es que usted está presente, usted como jefe del hogar, digamos, para que usted diga si es que existe algo o si es que necesita algo.
Pues sí, yo necesito más que nada, digamos que apoyo financiero.
Well, I need support, but I don't know, as far as the finances, I don't know.
Thank you.
Yes,
Ms.
Miss Allen.
Garcia, does Ramesses receive services through the school or through any mental health professional or any other social services?
¿Recibe, señora García, su hijo Ramses, recibe él alguna terapia emocional por medio de la escuela? ¿Recibe servicios de la escuela de educación especial? ¿Recibe algún tipo de servicio él ya?
Lo tuvo por mucho tiempo, pero llegó un momento en que él pidió que se le quitara, que ya no lo necesitaba, que no se sentía cohibido que siempre lo estuvieran cuidando. Entonces él pidió que se le quitara y yo autoricé porque me dijeron que si en un momento él lo necesitaba para atrás, se lo podían volver a dar.
He used to have services, but at one point he asked for the services to be removed because he felt that he didn't need someone to be with him all the time, taking care of him. So, but they told me that services could be reinstated if needed. And I think, as an interpreter's note, I think that Ramses is raising his hand. I'm sure. Sorry.
The only thing further, Your Honor, I would add is that while we were on the Zoom now, I received an official copy of the police report, which includes contact information for the social worker at the school. If you would translate that.
Lo único que quiero añadir, dice la fiscal, es que durante esta llamada de Zoom, ella ha recibido el reporte de la policía, el cual incluye la información de la mujer de servicios sociales en la escuela.
And our victim advocate has reached out to her and had a conversation with her. Ms. Clemens is prepared to talk to the court about that information that has been shared. Or we can go into a breakout room if you'd like, but the state's going to request that there be some kind of services or support for Ramesses if these two juvenile, well, if this juvenile, because he's no longer a juvenile, if the victim in this case is going to be spending time alone in the same home as her brother, the issue for the state is that there are other reported incidences of violent behavior and outbursts in the home. And that's why this young woman is able to just pick up the phone and call the social worker at her school. And so there's just a concern. And if you'd like to ask Ms. Clemens to talk to you about her conversation, that's fine. Thank you.
Actually, the social worker is about to join Zoom herself, so she would like to address the court to explain what the young lady, well, the victim stated to her today at school. Apparently,
hold on, Ms. Clemens, because
Okay.
there's a translation piece here.
La fiscal indica que de la oficina de la fiscalía existe una oficina dentro de esa oficina que es como una representación de víctimas. Entonces, ella está aquí presente en el Zoom y ella es la señora Clemons. Y la señora Clemons ha hablado con la persona de servicio social en la escuela. Y esa persona de servicio social en la escuela está presente, me parece, aquí también en la llamada de Zoom y ella va a hablar con el juez porque existe ciertas cosas del pasado que es la razón por la que su hija tenga el teléfono de la trabajadora social.
So just so you all know, the sister has already let me know that she's uncomfortable with the young man being in the household. So, and the mother has already let me know that he has somewhere else to go. So for the time being, he's gonna go somewhere besides this home until this is worked out. So just know that I'm already gonna rule that he's not gonna be in that household.
And Your Honor, if I could butt in for a minute, I understand that the state is desiring to be thorough, but this is a bond hearing. I fear that we've been getting close to litigating the case for the past 20 minutes. I think we should get to argument soon.
I think, honestly, just in response, this presents a unique issue. We've got a language barrier and we've got a mother at home with children who are vulnerable, both of them, actually. And so if there's an opportunity to assist in this matter, which I would argue is not even my job, it's your job, sir, to make sure this mother gets some support in getting some wraparound services and initiating some services for her in the home, then that's on us to do. That is an ethical obligation. And I'm more than happy to do a breakout room. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we're gonna have to, for the next case, go off the YouTube. I think that will be easier. So why don't we just go off the YouTube now? So